The Brookings Institute found that about 40% of rental properties are owned by mom and pop landlords, many of whom rely on their tenants' rent payments to pay their own bills and mortgages. Where's Biden's compassion for them? Jen Sidorova is one of those landlords, as well as a policy analyst for the Reason Foundation. She joins me now. Jen, tell me a little bit about your situation.
Yeah, Ben, I'm a landlord here in Buffalo, a working-class town, a very diverse town with lots of immigrants just like me. So what I do is I rent out part of my house, and I live in one of the units, rent out the others. And, you know, it's really been hard. It's been keeping me up at night because I'm afraid to rent out my units now because people might not pay. And there's other landlords like me. I've talked to a lot of other women landlords around New York, and there's people who sacrifice childcare or even paying their own utilities or mortgages because of this unprecedented measure.
It really represents to me a war on small business on the part of the Biden administration because, you know, in your situation, there could be a number of people in similar situations who would end up selling out to larger firms who can afford to rent at very inexpensive prices at this moment in order to scoop up a lot of these properties and go get through this period in order to rent it out themselves. Is this something that you've heard from fellow landlords in New York?
You know, what I hear is that a lot of people are just going out of business, exactly as you said, or maybe they're switching to the model that's more like a vacation rental, you know, short-term rental other than long-term. And what it's really doing, that's pushing young people or vulnerable people who we might normally give, you know, a break and give them a chance. We simply cannot do this anymore because we cannot run the risk of having somebody living in our property for free and us having to pay, you know, mortgage and utilities and then keeping it up. It's just impossible for somebody who only has maybe 2 or 3 units.
I know that you work for a reason, so I'm sure you're familiar with all manner of usage of the invisible hand or the things that are unseen. Isn't this kind of a perfect example of something like that playing out within our economic policy? That what is seen is the president going out there and saying, even if this is unconstitutional, I'm going to do the compassionate thing for all these different Americans. Meanwhile, he's crushing the very people who are necessary for our economy to be able to make a comeback.
Right. They made landlords villains, but honestly, I am an immigrant. I moved to this country when I was 18. I worked every day. I paid my taxes. It's been like 15 years since I was able to afford a property, and now it's my time to, you know, build some generational wealth and invest, and the government is taking it right out of my hands. They're robbing me out of my American dream. And honestly, I feel like I speak on behalf of all the hardworking immigrants in this country. This is simply not the America we signed up for.
Mm-hmm. It really is not what you signed up for, and it's incredibly infuriating to see the type of praise that the president was receiving from major media entities, the Washington Post in particular, as opposed to the critique that I think would highlight the ramifications of what he's actually doing. Jen Sidorova, thank you so much for joining.